Good evening. It's actually nighttime where I am. Welcome to another episode of the Happy Head podcast. I'm your host, Paul, and today I've got the super amazing, brilliant, wonderful person called Torrey, who is on the show today. It's been a bit of a challenge getting her on the show because she's such a busy person. And you're up in the wilds of Colorado somewhere, aren't you today, Torrey?
Yes, I am. I actually live in Colorado, but today, or for the last few days, I've been visiting a partner of mine who lives up in the ski country. He's a snowboarder artist and so on. So I've been spending the last few days with him and just relaxing because I have been going nonstop and between shows and photo shoots and filming and so on, that this was my little getaway. And I'm glad to be here with you to be able to talk about the podcast and my journey.
Yeah, so listen, in a nutshell, tell people who you are and what you do.
Okay. So I am Torrey Lisa, aka known as the Cougar, TL Morrighan. Cougar is my brand, but my real name is Torrey Lisa. And I don't hide that fact because part of what I do is that I am unapologetically and shamelessly an adult content creator. I'm a burlesque performer. I am a porn star. And I do it because I'm over the age of 50 and I want to show and empower women in particular, but I am not gender specific. I want to empower people in body positivity, sex positivity, gender positivity, age positivity. Like I represent everything that society says you shouldn't be or do as a woman or as a woman of age or a mature woman. I am out here living my best life, my happiest life, and loving every bit of it. And I own all of it. So you can find me as Torrey Lisa or you can find me as Cougar.
So how did you get started in this kind of brand new you?
Well, you have to rewind quite a bit to kind of get some framework on this. I actually suffered from the good girl syndrome. I grew up with very traditional old school parents. My dad had a theology degree, so I was a minister's daughter. He worked in law enforcement, so I was always afraid to do things that, like growing up as a teenager, I did not act out of line. Yes, I did do some things that could have gotten me in trouble, and I did get away with it. But for the most part, I was a good girl my whole life. I did everything I was supposed to do. I did everything that was expected of me. I raised 3 boys. I was married to the same man over the course of 26 years. I was a military wife. I followed all the rules. And I did all the things that I was programmed to do. It may have been a little non-traditional in the sense that being a military wife, I was married to the Army, so we moved a lot. So I didn't go off and get like a 4-year college degree. I actually took courses with each duty station. I took like online courses. I did my education on the go over the course of many years, a little bit here, a little bit there, because I was busy being a mom, a stay-at-home mom, and supporting my now ex-husband's military career. So here I was doing all the right things, and it led to literally walking away with nothing. I walked away with nothing but a suitcase and a few bins of business files about 2.5 years ago. Excuse me. The upshot of the whole thing is all that investment that I did, all the good girl stuff that I did amounted to really, you could look at it in a defeatist way. You could say, I walked away with nothing. But the thing is by letting go of everything, I gained everything. I was able to reclaim myself as a woman, as a vibrant, dynamic being. And it, as devastating as it was, and as traumatic as it was, and under the circumstances that it was under, I ended up going into hiding for about 6 months. I was leaving an abusive situation. I had no resources to my name. The only thing I had available to me was my life coaching business and the clients that helped keep me afloat during that time. And I bounced around a bit and finally settled down. And now 2 of my adult children live with me. My daughter-in-law also lives with me along with my granddaughter. So I reclaimed my family, but it is not a secret of what I do and why I do it, which we can get into here in a second. But you have to understand, I was a good girl in every way possible. I did everything I was supposed to do. So when it came time for me to look at my life as a whole and say, okay, I have this clean slate, what do I want to do? And one of the things that I promised myself that I would do is I would be 100% of me, 100% of the time, no matter what. I'm not going to hide aspects of myself. I'm not going to cut off aspects of myself to please people around me. I am here for me now. It's my turn to live my life the way I want to. So that evolved into the journey of where I am now. And I can get into that evolution if you want.
Yeah. I wanted to do that. But first of all, I want to ask this question. So the person you are now, has that always been you, but it's been hidden underneath behind the good girl stuff?
Yes, absolutely. It's painful. It's actually physically painful to deny aspects of yourself or to cut off aspects of yourself in order to keep a smile on your face and to look good. Like in my old life, I was a high profile veteran and caregiver advocate because my ex-husband had been wounded in combat. I had been in over 100 different major media outlets. I had done documentaries. There was a movie being made about us at one point. I was a guest at the White House. I mean, I was always showing up as the good girl, doing the right things. The thing is that I was also a very sensual, sexual woman who was literally dying a slow death in a loveless marriage. I had never kept it a secret. It was known during my marriage that I was bisexual, but in order to maintain the integrity of the marriage, I, stayed committed and devoted to him. I never stepped outside the marriage. And so cutting off these aspects of myself, things that I know about me in order to play this part, to show up in the world in the way that you're expected to, was very, very painful for me. And so, yes, this is me. This has always been me. I've known since I was a little girl that I was attracted to all humans, not just men. Even before I became sexually active, I saw the beauty in people. I saw the attractiveness and the magnetism in people. And I was drawn to people, and I was told, no, you can't, you're only supposed to do this thing. You're only supposed to be attracted to this kind of person. It was a lot of programming that I had to let go of when I finally did set out on my own to do my own thing. And it was disorienting. But yes, to answer your question, this was always me. I just had to hide it really, really well.
So this kind of leads on to the next big question is, you've left the home, you've been in hiding for kind of 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
What happened then? How did you kind of escape your chrysalis and turn into this beautiful butterfly that you are now?
Oh, you're so sweet. I was very fortunate to have people who were willing to take the risk of protecting me and putting me in hiding. I had to be very, very careful about any clues that I would leave on social media. One of the things I didn't want to do was cut off my ability to be connected to people. So social media was my lifeline during this time. And I also wanted to be very public about this journey because I knew that there were plenty of women in particular who were in abusive situations, who were trapped like I was, who saw no way out. And I wanted to show them how I was navigating it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It was not all pretty. And I was fortunate enough to have people that were willing to take the liability and risk of taking me into their home and to allow me that space in order to get my feet back underneath me and to reclaim my life. One of the places that I stayed was an unused Airbnb. It was off season, and the owner was a friend of mine. And she said, come stay at my Airbnb. And it was the first place that I didn't have to share a space with anybody else, because notoriously I was going into people's homes. I was sleeping either on their couch, their guest bed, or what have you. And so I shared the space with these other people. So when I got to this unused Airbnb, there was no one around me. So one of the things that occurred to me when I was in this space by myself, that it was the first time in my entire life, and I was 49 at the time, the first time in my entire life that I actually had my own space. Even though I didn't own the space, I was owning the space. And because I grew up one of 5 kids, I always shared a room. As soon as I left the home, I was moving in with a guy. I was getting married. I was having kids. I never had my own room. I never had my own space. And one of the breakdowns in my marriage is that I was not allowed to take up space in my own home. I wasn't allowed the right to have the remote control or to sit on the couch and watch my own TV show. And it was pretty profound how insidious this programming that me as a person, as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, had to make myself smaller to accommodate other people. And so for the first time in my life, I was allowed and encouraged and given permission to take up as much space as I wanted to.
Let's ask a question. You were married for quite a few years. What made you stay for so long, given the kind of conditions that you're having to live in?
Well, our situation was a little different. We were actually married to each other twice. The first marriage lasted 10 years, and he had cheated on me. And once that became known, I couldn't stay in a marriage that had deceit and betrayal in it. It just was not something that I was willing to do. So we went through a very contentious divorce. The next day after our divorce, he was stationed in Korea, South Korea. From there, he volunteered to go to Iraq. And, I had custody of the children, and I was a single mom at that point. And the thing is I was still listed on his next of kin paperwork. He had volunteered to go to Iraq, where he was seriously wounded. He was shot in the head in combat. And I got the phone call from the Army saying that the father of my children had about a 2% chance of survival. So I packed up the boys, and I packed up. We drove all night. They got him stabilized in Germany, flew him to Washington, D.C. I got by his side, and I just had to do the right thing. He was not going to be able to survive without help, and I was the only person that knew him through and through to be able to care for him. The doctors asked me to stay longer because I was the only person that could tell them what his capabilities were before injury versus after injury. So like I was helping him, and I then in turn became his full-time caregiver for another 14 years. We remarried the following year. I felt it was my duty and my obligation to bring my family together again so that the boys could have their father in their life again. And because he had been significantly altered, physically, emotionally, mentally, he had been altered so much that it was a different man I was marrying. Unfortunately, 14 years into it, he became a very dangerous man and somebody I just didn't recognize at all. And it was a safety issue. So I did have to go into hiding. The state actually put me in what's called, it's kind of like a witness protection program. Yeah. It's called the address confidentiality program. I'm literally in hiding. But I'm living my life openly and out loud and so on. I'm very uniquely positioned that I can live this kind of lifestyle openly, but yet still be anonymous. I use my real name. Porn stars and burlesque performers and so on, we always use stage names. Yes, I use a stage name, but I do not make my real name a secret. So like this marriage thing, it's like he had changed so much. He can't find me. So I'm just going to keep living my life. I'm not going to let him have the power over how I live my life from here forward. And taking up space in this world was a really big key component in that.
Yeah. So you've gone through all this stuff. You've been in hiding for 6 months. You're staying in this Airbnb. What happened next? What was the next step in this transformation?
So I gave myself time to heal. Part of my life coaching that I'd been doing since 2013 was being used on myself. Like I was taking my own advice. Okay. And so I spent a lot of time doing what's called shadow work. And shadow work is basically your subconscious, your shadow self. It's if you look up Carl Jung, it's the aspects of yourself that still need to be healed. And so I was doing my own shadow work on myself. And one of the things that I knew about myself is that a lot of people, they do like rebound relationships, or they're so afraid of being alone. And this was one of my aha moments. It's like, I told you, like it occurred to me, this is the first time I've ever been alone in my entire life. And normally people find that to be very uncomfortable, if not painful. For me, I was like, I need to embrace this. I need to know what it feels like to be alone and to not feel like I have to line myself up with a man in order to be a valid woman. And so I gave myself plenty of time to get to know myself, get to know what I'm truly afraid of, to get to know what drives me, what my passions are. Like if you had asked me 5 years ago what my hobbies were, I couldn't tell you what they were, because I had no time for hobbies, let alone to explore hobbies or to know about myself. Like I had no interests of my own. So I needed to have a relationship with myself first before I stepped into any partnerships whatsoever. Also, backing up a bit, I had identified years ago that I was wired to be what's called an ethical non-monogamist. I had done a previous interview about this, but I'll summarize it. Basically, I had a conversation with my husband at that time. Infidelity was a very big problem in the military. And my ex was gone 9 months on average out of the year. And I had a conversation with him and I said, look, I know that you guys step outside of the marriage all the time. It's part of the job description almost, and I would like to open our marriage up so that we don't have deceit, so that we don't have lies, that we don't have infidelity driving secrecy. Okay. But this is a two-way street. This is where if you step out of the marriage, I get to step out of the marriage too. And this takes a lot of emotional maturity. It takes a lot of communication and so on. And so I had proposed that we have an open marriage. He didn't like to share. So I did give him permission to step outside the marriage. He chose to keep it a secret. So it was kind of one of those like, gosh, he didn't have to lie. He didn't have to do these things. I literally served him permission on a platter. All he had to do was be honest with me, and he chose not to. So like I had to be honest with myself about the fact that I am still wired. I recognized after I left him, I am still wired to be what's called an ethical non-monogamist. I did not want to be somebody's everything in a relationship. I had to do that in my marriage, and it is high pressure. I did not want to be somebody's only source of love, companionship, partnership, and so on. I would prefer very much to share the workload, And so I decided for myself, when I was having the relationship with myself to get to know me, that when and if I chose to go into any partnerships, that it would be an open dynamic. So when I stepped back into the dating scene, it was with the intention of not being in a monogamous dynamic, because there is such a thing as toxic monogamy. I was stepping out of toxic monogamy, and I did not want to step back into it. So I purposely went into open dynamics and chose partners accordingly. One of those partners was also a kinkster in the BDSM community. And I have my own kinks and I recognize that. And so I did step into a partnership, and it was a dom sub dynamic. And then I became immersed in the BDSM culture and lifestyle. And what you have to know is, in the open, ethical, non-monogamy lifestyle and in the BDSM lifestyle, this is a consent culture. Everything is about consent. Everything is about consent. It is negotiated. It is talked about up front. And this fits me because I came out of a deceit, manipulation, betrayal, toxic dynamic, going into a consent culture in more ways than one suited me beautifully. So as I was moving through this BDSM lifestyle, in this open dynamic lifestyle, one of the other things that I chose for myself is, when I was like assessing my life, I looked back at the things that did bring me joy in my life, and I wanted to either bring it back into my life or pursue exploring it. One of the things that I had done at the age of 16 was I was a professional swimwear model back in the day, long before I had kids. And I wanted to get back into modeling. And one of my partners was a photographer. And so he started taking pictures of us at dungeon parties or doing some kinky things and being very risque. And so I started posting those on social media where it's allowed. There is a site called FetLife. It's for kinksters. It's like Facebook for kinky people. And so I started putting those pictures up, and people started responding to it. And so I thought, well, holy crap, not only are they responding to it favorably, but they're also saying, you're inspiring me. Look at you, you're 50 years old, you know, and you look great. And you're teaching me that life isn't over, and that I get to be kinky and own it. I get to be, have multiple partners and not be ashamed of that. Because I mean, we're taught that if you are, you know, if you have more than one partner, that you're somehow a whore or a slut. Me, no, I'm just actually very emotionally mature and smart about my partnerships. And I have fabulous relationships in my life. And so me living my life openly became a magnet for people to ask for more of it. And part of that more of it was the photography and filming that I was doing. That then turned into doing it professionally. I work with multiple professional photographers, and then that then went into me working with different porn studios. And so I'm out there showing that life is not over when you hit 40. In fact, it's just getting started when you hit your 50s.
That's it. Life starts when you're ready for it to start, basically, isn't it?
Yes, very true. And age is actually a mindset. I do not target age groups when I date, but for instance, I am currently at a partner's house who's 20 years my junior. We're a good match. We're very aligned. And the thing is so I'm not trying to find younger people or older people, or, you know, like I'm an equal opportunity dater.
Well, that's what you say.
That's the way I put it.
It's the alignment between two people. It's not the age difference or the style. It's whether you kind of get on, whether you're a good fit in all the various different aspects of life.
Exactly. And so a lot of us are taught, oh, well, you need to go after a white collar, you know, somebody who's a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. And it's like, no, some of the biggest assholes I've ever met were professional people who have to put on a mask, like they hide aspects of themselves, or they're secretive or whatever, because they have this career they have to protect. I don't have a career I have to protect. This is my career. Like, I don't have a boss to please. I love profiting off my pleasure. Like, I live my life so transparently and so authentically that I'm drawn to people who are like that. And what that does is that brings me to kind of the free spirit people. People who are artists, who are creators, who are very spiritual, who are who give zero fucks. about what people think of them. Those are the kind of partners that I partner with.
Yeah, and when you look at your social media, that is what it's filled with. It's with people that are living the same kind of lifestyle that you, or
Yes.
who appreciate what you're doing and value that.
I love my tribe. I do. It is full of burlesque performers. You know, we're up there performing on stage. We're versed in the art of the tease. And yes, we strip on stage, and yes, we make money doing it, but we don't do it for the money. We do it for the self-expression and to put our art out there. And our bodies are our art. And our bodies come in every shape and size. So like you're going to see when you come onto my social media, you're going to see a lot of my burlesque colleagues and performers and so on. You're going to see people who are in the sex work industry. I have mentored over 6,000 OnlyFans creators since COVID started. Like I teach business, marketing and branding to people who are stepping into the industry who don't know where to start. That's where I come in. So like the people you see on my social media are the people that society shames.
Yeah, people that society doesn't want to accept because they are out there in so many different ways. I mean, one of the big things I like about the photos that you share from the burlesque shows is that all of the performers are loving what they do. They've all got smiles, they're all relaxed. There's no kind of tension. There's no, oh God, not another show tonight. It's that everybody's just really having a ball, having a really good time.
We love it. We live for it. Like it gives me goosebumps to see my friends, and they're basically family to me. In fact, it is in the family. My daughter-in-law that I told you about that lives with me, she's now a burlesque performer. Like I think burlesque has been one of the best things that has ever happened to me. And I have to really thank the Peaks and Pasties burlesque troupe. We're the largest super troupe in the nation, and it's headed by Bunny B, who is the Burlesque Hall of Fame president out of Las Vegas. She is an amazing, amazing woman and performer, but she's my mentor. I'm in her troupe, and everybody that's in this troupe, we all support and love each other and endorse each other, and we're each other's hype squad, you know. And like some people go, oh, I could never do that. I don't have the body for it. Everybody is a burlesque body. There is no specific body type or look or whatever. The sex work industry, same thing. Everybody has an audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
because
a lot of people think, well, I have to be 25, under the age of 25, and I have to be blonde, and I have to, and no. There is a market for every single body shape, every single age, every single kink, every single everything. There literally is no specific body type. So the people you see on my social media are the people who accept their bodies, who like to show off their bodies, who like to perform, who like to entertain, who like to show up to express themselves, who are artistic, who are basically showing up in a world that says, don't do that, but they're doing it anyway. They are the bravest, most courageous, most beautiful souls that I could ever ask to be associated with. And I consider it an honor and a privilege to be in this family of performers.
Yeah, because you're right, that they're not hiding. They're on social media. They're not wearing masks. You know, they are who they are, and they are loud and proud. And I think it's absolutely brilliant. When I'm not working, I'm a photographer. It's kind of my passion. And I've got a very good friend who's a professional dominatrix, and she has asked me on a few occasions to shoot some dungeon scenes with her. And it opened my eyes, let's put it that way, because it was, yes. But I loved it. It was absolutely fabulous because, again, a lot of her clients are kind of, you know, white collar guys. And when they walk out of the dungeon, you would not know what they've been up to for the past 2 hours. But that's completely different from the way you guys are. And that's what I love, that difference.
So, yes. So here's the thing. BDSM is all walks of life. Okay. Your doctor could very well have been in a dungeon party last weekend. And we do offer anonymity. In other words, when I recognize a fellow kinkster at the grocery store, there is proper etiquette that we follow as kinksters, as fetishists. Like, you know, we don't out each other in public spaces. We protect the privacy of those that are within the lifestyle. Okay. Me, I choose to be very open about it. So people know that if they see me in public, they can say, hey, I saw you at Voodoo Leatherworks last weekend, and that was a really awesome scene you did. I love seeing you get whipped. You know, and I can talk openly and in public and in front of my adult children about these things because there are no secrets. However, when I'm in public and I recognize somebody, they are doctors, they are lawyers, they are the baker, they're the clerk at the gas station. They're, like, all walks of life are in the kink community. And so I will always respect their privacy. I will not out them. I will not cause them problem. Even if I had like a personal grief with somebody, I would never damage their career or anything like that. But the thing is, I strongly endorse people owning their kinks. Everybody has a kink in some way, shape, or form. But we're taught to be ashamed of it, to be afraid of it, to feel guilty about it. And then you add in the layers of, well, if my family found out, they would ostracize me, they would reject me. If my boss found out, I would lose my career. I am so uniquely positioned that I live it out loud. And I love that fact that I do not have to have secrets in my life. I curated my life purposely so I would not have to have secrets to live it fully. But there are people, like you said, who go to these dungeon parties, and then 2 hours later, you would never have any clue what they just did for the last 2 hours, because they have to like literally have two aspects of themselves. And it's not wrong, it's necessary. It's just, for me, I'm very unique in the fact that I don't have to have two sides of myself. I don't have to hide any aspect of that because I'm so open about it.
I think it's wrong that there has to be those two aspects. I mean, when the day comes that people can talk openly about anything and everything they get up to, the world will be such a better place, because there won't be these hidden compartments and these hidden boxes, people having to, like you did for the best part of your life, you had to hide the real you away. And that damages, that causes pain, that causes discomfort, that causes harm.
It takes you out of alignment. It is actually a cause of disease. It's like when you are not living in alignment as authentically as you possibly can, it causes problems. Absolutely. It causes strain. It causes stress. It causes angst. I choose to live a life where, am I 100% without stress? No. I mean, come on, there's stress in everybody's life, but I reduce my stress with a whole lot of orgasms. Okay.
Great way to reduce stress. Absolutely.
I'm very shameless about that. Like, and then I make money off of those orgasms. So it's like this self-perpetuating, like, cycle of happy.
That is fabulous. You've got something that makes you feel really, really good, reduces stress, and makes you money. I mean, that's like the ideal world. That's the ideal.
It's the trifecta.
Now, I want to just take you back a second, because you said that you're on OnlyFans and that you mentored, was it 6,000 people?
Over 6,000 creators.
What do you think to this ridiculous thing that OnlyFans did a few weeks ago about suddenly saying we're going to take all the naughty images off? You know, I mean, that's all that's on there, pretty much.
Well, there's a lot going on behind the scenes about that. Quite frankly, there is, where the money is where the moral police are. And it's really about money and morality and so on. So basically, we could do a whole nother episode on this, but I'll try to summarize it. Okay,
go for it.
Big money is run by people with agendas. People with agendas want to control society in the moral majority and so on. So a lot of Christian backed groups have the money. A lot of the industry, the sex work industry as a whole has always been under attack, and it will always be under attack. And OnlyFans basically was bending to the pressure of losing money if they continued to participate in the sex work industry, the porn industry, what have you. And so they said, okay, well, we're just going to clean it up, and we're going to save our business by agreeing to get rid of all of these horrible sex workers that are on our platform. What they found out is they would lose more business by getting rid of the sex workers, because they made the money off the backs of sex workers to begin with. So they were like, oops, sorry, we realized our mistake. Here's the thing. Any platform that does not fight for the rights of sex workers and fight for our right to do what we do legally, ethically, morally, like, sex workers are healers. Sex workers are healers. It is the oldest industry ever.
Yeah, since day one.
So when we've got society pressuring us to shut down porn and so on, I will give my business, I will work with platforms that fight for the rights of sex workers. So yes, I am on OnlyFans. No, I am not happy with OnlyFans. In fact, they just showed their true colors. I prefer other platforms that will fight for our right to remain on their platforms. That is where my content is going. I will stay on OnlyFans, but I will put my time, energy, and so on into other platforms, because I do a variety of different things. And some platforms don't allow, like, you would be surprised how much content I can't put onto OnlyFans that I can put on other platforms. OnlyFans is actually very vanilla overall. There's a lot of stuff that I do that I can't put on OnlyFans, because I do some really, really, really wild stuff. And it's forbidden on OnlyFans. So OnlyFans is actually very midstream market, but they have brand recognition. So I'll stay there because I've got over 1,000 pics and videos there. I'm not going to just completely abandon it, but I am putting my time and energy into other platforms that are going to fight for sex workers' rights.
Okay, moving platform now. You're on TikTok and you're very big on TikTok, but is it okay to talk about this particular person that, without knowing it, is actually boosting your viewership and your viewers and everything? It's brilliant.
Yes.
It's absolutely
so
superb.
Haters make me famous.
That's it. Yeah, haters make me famous.
So here's the interesting thing. Because I know branding and marketing and so on, and I teach this, I know about algorithms and about social media. And I had started a TikTok account about a year ago, right about the same time that I had this really dedicated hater try to shame me or humiliate me or to somehow make me go away, as if that's ever going to happen. I mean, I literally, my haters are my motivators. I do things out of spite at this point when it comes to haters. Like, haters have no bearing on me whatsoever. If anything, they help me. So any type of engagement I get, any type of exposure I get, good or bad, helps my brand. It drives the algorithm. So when I have a hater doing a screenshot of something I did on TikTok to criticize it, it's driving traffic back to my TikTok and it's getting me more business. So it like, literally, she doesn't understand algorithms and doesn't understand that every time she says my pretty name off her tongue, she's giving me free advertising. And she can't bring me down. She's actually helping me the more she hates me. So it's one of those things where a lot of people go into the industry and they lack the self-confidence that it takes. You have to be really fucking self-confident to do what I do. Like, I am literally, the most vulnerable parts of myself are revealed in these videos or in these photos, or like I am literally and figuratively naked for the world to see. And I hide nothing. And so I have to be very confident in myself to be able to do what I do. So to have haters in this industry comes with the territory. But for me, I'm teaching people, look, you're going to have haters. You have to be confident enough in yourself to be able to do this and not let their criticism destroy your self-esteem. If anything, let it build your self-confidence, because if you've got somebody criticizing you, you know you're doing something right. You're making somebody uncomfortable with their own selves. It has nothing to do with you. You are waking them up to aspects of themselves that they don't like about themselves, and you just become the mouthpiece for them to express it. And so when I have haters, they're helping me. They're boosting my algorithms. They are driving traffic. I'm getting more views. I'm getting more engagement. I'm getting more, and that turns into money for me in the end. So I love haters. They make me famous and they make me fucking rich.
Yeah, and the thing about them is that their publicity is better than praise, because people go, oh my God, if this woman is so bad, I've got to go and see what she's doing. And then they become a fan, and then they become a follower because they love what you do. And this is demonstrated because at the time, I think the photo she showed was, I don't know, 5,000 or 6,000 views. And then you posted the other day, that had boosted to like what, 21 or 25,000?
No, what it was okay. Within like 2 days of her criticizing a particular TikTok video I had done, I had gotten 16,000 views.
Yeah.
Okay. Within the first 2 days of that video going up. So she boosted it initially. Now, a year later, it has over 72,000 views. And I went from 1,000 followers a year ago to almost 28,000 followers now. And that TikTok channel covers a lot of topics. Okay. I talk about how to sell spicy things on the internet. I talk about confidence. I talk about narcissists and toxic people. And I talk about my hater too. And I actually am trolling her back. This is fun for me. I get to fuck with her in return. So like, this is entertainment for me and for people who are tuning in. They're like, what's this all about? And they're like, oh, there's some drama here. Okay. So they're going to go over it. But they're also going to be educated. They're going to be empowered. They're going to get other content, not just this hate war going on with this woman who just hates Torrey. You know, like, she can hate me all day. She's just going to help me in the end. One time I got over 100 subscribers from her. Bitching about me on the internet. And I was like, wow, today was a great day. Thanks for all the extra business. I'm talking paid subscriber followers, not just followers. I'm talking OnlyFans subscribers.
That is incredible. I mean, she may as well just give her a megaphone and let her go down the street telling you how bad you are, what an evil person you are, because she's doing it for you.
Exactly. So haters, welcome to my channels. We're going to have a whole lot of fun.
So
you literally cannot shame me.
No.
You cannot, whore bashing is real. But I'm a proud whore. I own who I am. I love doing what I do. And so I live my life so that people can go, you know what? I was so afraid to be criticized, but here's Torrey over here. Not only is she getting criticized, but she's running with it. She's having fun with it, and she's making money off of it. You go, it tells people not to be afraid of criticism. Don't be afraid. If somebody doesn't like my ass, that's fine. They can move on to somebody else's ass. But my ass is pretty famous right now. I've got a really nice ass for my age. I'm going to be 52 next month. I love my ass. If you don't like it, that's your problem. I got plenty of people that adore it.
And the thing is, Torrey, you're so out there, you're doing all of this stuff that they can't kind of shame you because there's nothing to be ashamed of, and there's nothing to unhide because, like you said a minute ago, it's all out there.
Yep. And
all of you,
and I do that on purpose. I am my own boss. I am not in any career that I would lose. Okay. Like I said, I'm very uniquely positioned. There are school teachers, there are attorneys, there are people who could literally lose their credentials or their licenses or their career to step into the adult content industry, who do so and navigate it successfully anonymously, because they will like obscure their face, or like you can do porn and not show your face. I mean, there are ways to do it. In fact, I teach some of those ways in my free training group. But the thing is I chose to not only come out of hiding, I'm still technically in hiding. Okay. Like, to find me would be very difficult. And I have the resources to handle it. If somebody did and wanted to cause me problems, I know how to handle it. I have measures in place. I have security running 24/7 in my own home. I have surveillance. Like I am well protected, and I feel safe in that arena, because you do have to be smart. There will be weirdos that are going to come after you and try to find you and so on. I have dedicated haters. In fact, I have dedicated haters I used to be married to. So like, I cannot be shamed or guilted or humiliated in doing what I do, because I'm fucking proud of it. I love the fact that I am doing what I do at my age, the way I do it. And I normalize taboo conversations. For instance, kinks and fetishes. People are like, oh God, I can't, that's not dinner conversation. Like, to talk about a foot fetish or, you know, whatever the fetish is. I will always validate people for owning their fetishes. Somebody can come to me and say, you know, this is a long shot, but would you be willing to do custom content for me because I have this particular fetish? I am open to receive all requests for all fetishes. Then I get to pick and choose which are in alignment for me. I will never yuck somebody's yum. But the thing is like, fetishes are highly, highly taboo. You can't embarrass me with a fetish. You can't shame me about my own fetishes. You can't humiliate me because I do some pretty freaky shit on the internet because I love doing it. So like you shaming me or humiliating me can't be done. There's nothing I am embarrassed or ashamed about. Everything I have chosen to do in my life, I chose to do for a reason, and I own it. And if I make mistakes, I'll own to my mistakes. But at the same time, I'm pretty fucking proud of everything I've done. And I want people to step into their truth. I want them to not feel shame for having a kink. I want them to not feel ashamed when they look in the mirror. I want them to love themselves and go, wow, I had 3 children and my body is a mom bod. And it's beautiful. I have assets, you know, that people truly enjoy. I look at the work that I do as healing work. To be able to energetically connect with somebody in the bedroom is very important to me. You know, I have sex on the internet, but the sex I have with my partners is very, very, very deeply rooted spiritually. It's very energetic and so on. It's not just casual flings and random sex. Like, I am very careful about who I partner with and so on. So the thing is a lot of people get assumptions that I'm indiscriminate and that I just sleep with everybody and that I don't have standards or that I don't have a criteria. Like, the people that I work with are very reputable. The people that I collaborate with are very reputable. Like, I have standards. I have requirements. I have expectations. And I am adored and worshiped and treated with respect in an industry that has notoriously mistreated women and objectified them and so on. So I move through this space of, you can't humiliate me. You can't shame me. Like, I'll block you the moment you get disrespectful with me.
Yeah, this is,
you know, like, I'm very strong boundaried.
Yeah, and this is one thing that people don't understand. They think, you know, just because you're doing, you're on stage, you're doing adult work, they just make all of these assumptions about you, and they're completely wrong. You know,
Correct.
you have standards, you have boundaries, you have criteria. You know, you don't just do anything, you know, out without thinking about it. You are cautious, you are protecting, you are security and all the other stuff. And it comes back to this, people not wanting to know about what goes on out there, not wanting to understand. I mean, it's only recently that people have been kind of fairly open about sex toys, and yet sex toys have been around for thousands of years.
Correct. In fact, I had Child Protective Services years and years and years and years ago at my door because somebody got wind that I had a catalog that had some sex toys in it, and somehow that made me a bad mom. Well, now there are soccer moms out there hosting parties for sex toys. Like the pendulum has swung. Okay. Like I was getting in trouble, even though I didn't get in trouble. It was like one of those things where like people are like, oh my God, there's a catalog with a sex toy in it at Torrey's house. She has children. Oh dear. You know, like it was so taboo. And now, like, I could show you all my toys on the internet. You know, like I'm not ashamed of it, but you're right. Like, just talking about orgasms, how uncommon is that?
Yeah, and it's
people
weird
don't talk
as well.
about it.
It's weird because it's such a natural activity. It's part of, the species wouldn't be here without orgasms. You know, so
orgasms are actually the most powerful creative energy in the universe. Orgasms are the most powerful creative energy in the universe. I am my most creative when I'm having free flow orgasms. I'm a writer. Like I write better when I'm having, or, you know, like if there at one point in my marriage, I hadn't had sex in 2 years. Do you know how blocked I was in all ways possible? Like being a creator, being an artist, being a writer, being a storyteller. I couldn't tell stories. I was so energetically blocked. Now I'm literally associated with creatives in everything. I'm staying at one of my most creative partner's houses. He's a painter. He's an artist. He just did a freaking mural in a city up here in Colorado. Like he's known for his artistic abilities and is very prolific in it. And I'm drawn to people like that because people who are blocked can't create. People who don't have orgasms can't create.
Absolutely. And speaking of being creative, you've got a book coming out fairly soon, I think.
It's not very soon. I'm literally like halfway through the book. It's because the book itself is about my unleashing process. And there were a few chapters that still had to be lived out in order to finish the book. But it is about my journey, about unleashing myself from my marriage, unleashing myself from the expectations of society, unleashing myself from myself. And so the Unleashed book is about the journey that I just kind of talked a little bit about going into the kink world, about going into BDSM and fetish work, sex work, being a stripper, being a porn star, and so on, about all the things I had to unleash myself from in order to live my most full expression of myself, and to literally let that passion be my path to not only happiness, but profits.
So when do you think roughly the book will be ready?
I have an agent in New York City that wants the rights to first refusal. Once I get the actual book submitted, then we'll see whether it gets picked up by a publisher. However, regardless, I'm publishing it. Whether it's self-publishing or through traditional publisher, I will publish it one way or the other. It will either be self-published or not. I'm going to estimate within the year. I've had enough of the final chapters play out to finish the book.
So, and where are you keeping people updated about the progress of the book?
Usually on social media. So if you go to Poly Cougar, POLYCOUGAR, on any platform, or polycougar.com will link you to everything that I'm doing. Book announcements and so on and so forth will be done through the polycougar.com website.
Is there anything you're not doing?
I'm not sleeping with just anybody.
That's good. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So what's next? What's next?
There is a lot of things I'm not doing. I am not living my life to please other people. That's number one. I'm here to live my life. Whether you're on board or not is entirely up to you. I am here to live my life and to live it fully. So I'm not living it for other people. I am also not yet working in the actual, like, I plan to step into legal prostitution, because like I said earlier, sex work is healing work. There are people out there, a natural human need is physical touch. There are people out there who are literally denied physical touch through a variety of obstacles in their life. And just giving a tantric massage can be healing for somebody, but that would be illegal where I live. That would be illegal for me to receive money to do anything that would bring pleasure to somebody. And I think it's wrong. So I'm going to navigate into the sex work world legally so that I can provide more physical contact to people who need that type of healing.
So does that mean having to move like to a different state if the current place doesn't allow it?
Or traveling to another state or to another country, yes. And that's actually in the works. It just hasn't been put in place yet. So I'm not currently doing it, but I plan to. I think physical touch, I was so touch starved by the time I left my marriage. I know how painful it is for people to not have physical touch. And I believe that the work that I do is healing work, and I want to carry that torch forward and in that vein, be able to do what I do legally, and bring that type of healing to other people who need it.
Being in physical contact with other people is just so important. During the pandemic and lockdown, I spoke to so many people who were living alone, and the two things they were missing was face-to-face conversations and actual physical touch. And it wasn't even, we're not even talking about sexual touch. We're talking about just being able to hug someone, hold their hands, that kind of thing.
Yes. And I have taken enough sociology and college courses to know that humans must have physical touch or they literally fail to thrive. They fail to thrive. And for me, I am, very, very safe in the industry that I'm in. That you can hire somebody who may put you at risk of diseases and things like that. I've never been a risk, never will be a risk, that type of thing. I take this stuff very, very seriously. So as part of my lifestyle, it's taken very, very seriously. Part of my profession is taken very, very seriously. So I want to navigate the industry in a way that's safe, sane, and consensual, so that people can get that physical touch without putting themselves at risk, myself or them, that type of thing. It's a highly regulated industry, and I choose to step into it because it's so important. People fail to thrive when they are denied physical touch. Plain and simple.
I agree totally with that, because you can feel when you're not, or when you haven't been touched recently, you can actually feel the kind of the energy depletion, the energy draining. And like I say, I talked to a lot of people about this, and yeah, it was a big, big deal. But yeah, again, people weren't really talking about it that much, because it almost seemed like, ooh, should I be talking about wanting to be touched? Will people take that the wrong way? Which is ridiculous.
Here's the thing. Back when I was touch starved, like profoundly touch starved, I would book massages twice a month just to have another human being touch me, even though it was non-sexual. I needed people to physically touch me. Hugs, just touching of somebody's hand, just any type of physical touch. Somebody, pushing your hair back off your face. Gentle gestures of connection are so valuable. And it doesn't even have to be sexual. But the thing is there are people out there that are not just touch starved, but they're orgasm starved. They're literally, they need human connection. And for me, I feel like I'm a conduit of that type of energy. And I think it's important that we all normalize this conversation. If you do not have physical touch, you fail to thrive. And we need to make it normal to be able to have human connections on every level and make it legal.
I agree with you so much. I mean, that's one of the reasons I asked you to come on the show, because the more times we can get you and people like you to have conversations about this openly, making it a fun conversation, not kind of serious and straight-laced or anything like that. It makes people understand that it's okay to talk about this stuff, just like it's okay to talk about when things have gone wrong in our lives, when we've been attacked, when we've been assaulted. I find it really, really weird that we're allowed to show violence and people being stabbed and shot and all kinds of horrible things on TV, in movies, yet you can't see people making love.
I know. It's so backwards.
Yeah, it's the wrong way around.
It's so backwards. I agree. In fact, I was, sitting up last night watching TV with, my partner, and we're watching TV and we're like, why was this even a rated R? Because there was one nipple that was shown, but we watched people's brains get blown out repeatedly over and over again in this entire movie, but one nipple made it rated R. It was crazy. We were sitting up going, oh, I don't understand either. I don't understand why one nipple is such a big deal. I'm constantly going into Facebook jail. I always push the envelope on what you can and can't see. Twitter's your best bet to see my nipples, but I do give some freebies out there. But the thing is why is a nipple even such a big deal?
Who knows? Who knows?
But yeah, humans showing affection for each other, and God forbid it's not male female. God forbid it's two males or two females or a threesome. I mean, that's the world I live in. That's normal to me to show sexual, I go to sex parties all the time. It's not uncommon for me to be participating in an orgy or whatever. It's like, to me, it's not a big deal. It is part of who I am and the life I live and the type of people I hang out with. So to me, it's not a big deal. But if I were to go to PTA meeting at my granddaughter's school, those are the kind of people that hide it and suppress it and don't talk about it and shame it and so on. There are parts of society that will never be okay with it. I just want to make it a normal conversation.
No, I agree. There will always be groups that don't want to normalize this, but for the rest of us, it should be normalized. I mean, I find it bizarre that in the States, you can walk past shops with all kinds of guns and weapons and knives on display, but you can't walk past a shop with sex toys on display.
I know. The shops exist. You just have to go back in the back of the store behind a curtain to get to some of that stuff.
Yeah, but that's my point. You don't have to go to the back of the store to see the guns, But to see stuff that gives pleasure, it's like, you've got to go through the dodgy store with the screens and all this kind of stuff. It's mad. It's crazy. It's just backwards.
I honestly, I get it, but I don't. My role is that I want to have want to have normalized conversations about taboo topics, and to have the hard conversations about these topics like LGBTQIA plus rights. Okay, I'm going to be first on the forefront having those difficult conversations with people who are, not only they're afraid of us, and there's nothing to be afraid of. Like, I'm a contributing member of society. So what if I like women and men? So what? But people will make it about that and forget about all the good I do in this world.
Who cares?
Because I have a girlfriend and a boyfriend. Oh my God,
No, but Torrey, who cares?
Who cares?
Consenting adults should be able to do whatever the hell they like, and nobody should be able to bat an eye, just like getting in your car or buying some donuts or bagels, But
there is so much hate directed toward people who do not have a cisgendered identity. A lot of hate is thrown my way because of who I love, and that is wrong.
Do you think that's through fear, through lack of understanding?
Okay. All of it. Definitely fear. Everything is fear-based. Everything is either fear-based or love-based. And the people that are hating on people who love the way they love are in fear. They're in fear. And they're denying parts of themselves in the process. Mark my words.
Oh, yeah.
Homophobics.
Yeah, they're holding
They're
themselves
denying
back.
their own tendencies.
They're denying something. I don't know what it is they're denying, but they're denying something because, same-sex relationships, like the oldest profession in the world, have been around since forever. There's nothing new.
Yeah. Love is love. Love is love. And isn't that what we were taught? To love one another, to do unto others as they would have done unto you. Like I don't understand hate. I literally do not understand hate. I cannot wrap my head around it. I cannot participate in it. Yes, I troll my haters, but I don't hate them. I don't understand hate. I cannot understand hate. And there's so much hate in this world. Let's offset it with a little bit more love and acceptance and understanding.
Those two words, acceptance and understanding, those are the two words that are missing from so many people's lips right now.
Well, I'm here to give people permission to live their best life, to be their most authentic self. A lot of people don't do what they want to do because they feel like they need permission. I have a hashtag, permission to play. Go do what brings you joy, whatever that may be. If you need permission, I'll write your permission slip.
What would you say, Torrey, to someone who's sitting listening to this conversation, who is maybe already in the adult world, or is thinking about going in the adult world, but wants to kind of do the OnlyFans side of things or another platform? What's kind of in a nutshell, something that it could do to help them take that next step?
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, they're already in the industry. They already have their self-confidence. They're already producing content.
50-50. There may be some people who are already in there, or there may be some people who want to kind of like dip their toe in the water.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with being a hobbyist at this, but what you put into it, you get back out. So if you log in once a week, you're not going to have the same results as somebody who is doing this full time. If you're creating content every once in a while versus doing professional photo shoots and filming like I do on a regular basis, you might make a few $100s a month, okay? But if you want to make really good money, you need to brand yourself and market yourself and really put yourself out there. Now, I also believe in working smarter, not harder, and there are tools to automate this so that you can run away to the Colorado high country and spend a few days relaxing and getting pampered and adored by a partner instead of working. So, there's a way to have fun doing it, and there's a way to work smarter, not harder. I do offer a program called Work It Baby, If you go to polycougar.com, you're going to see a link to be able to access that. But I teach you how to expand your adult content business, how to diversify it. It's still in its build out stages, admittedly. So it's still like lessons are rolling out as I go. But I show you how to automate it, how to have a work-life balance, how to really make this a career choice as opposed to being hobbyist. Either one is fine. It just depends on how much you want to put into it. For me, it is my main income stream. I diversify it. I don't do just OnlyFans. I do other platforms. I sell intimate items that are previously worn. I sell things that most people didn't realize would be sellable. And I teach about that for free on my podcasts and TikToks and my group and so on. Like there's a bunch of free information out there that I've put out there to kind of put your feet underneath you. But if you want to take it beyond that, I do have a program for that. And that's in my Poly Cougar link.
Listen, Torrey, I could sit here all night and listen to this, listen to you chatting, having a conversation with you, but I think we have to call it to a close now. But I would love you to come back when you know that your book is ready to be released, so we can kind of talk about that and some other stuff, yeah?
I would love to. And it's been an honor to be on here with you, Paul. Thank you so much. I know that I am not the typical podcast guest, but for your podcast, it's beautiful that you tied all of this in, because happiness comes in many forms. For me, it's being able to be my 100% myself, 100% of the time, no matter what. My fullest expression of myself is what you see. And people who know me, you know, in real life will say she shows up online as she does exactly in real life. There are not different personas. What you see is what you get. And I think being your most authentic self is where you can find your happiness.
One last time, give us your website link.
Poly Cougar, POLYCOUGAR.com. You can find me as Poly Cougar on all social media or as at Torrey Lisa, TORREYLISA. I'm all the same person. I just have different branding. But I show up the same way on both sites. I have 2 different Instagrams, 2 different TikToks, so people will either find me through my real name or my stage name.
Listen, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's been absolutely fabulous.
Thank you, Paul. I'm very honored and privileged. Thank you for allowing me to have this conversation with you. And if anybody, has any questions, feel free to reach out and let me know, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. But go to polycougar.com and you'll find a lot about me. Just with that one link.
Oh, I'm trying to keep a straight face here. I will post all the links in the usual places, guys and girls. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye now.
Bye. Thank you.